You might be hearing recently about a new thing called Disciplined Agile. It's a PMI product and you might be wondering what it is. Now, usually we think that if it is an agile way of working, if it's an agile approach, it might be some framework which helps us in getting things done or getting our delivery happening faster. But incidentally, the Disciplined Agile is not a framework, it's a toolkit. Now you may wonder how it is, because ultimately we need some structure for doing our work, and most of the agile approaches, be it Scrum or Scaled Agile, position themselves as a framework. So what is framework? In a way, framework gives you a structure. You can decorate that structure, add your things in it as and when needed. Some of the frameworks are, I can say, predefined, well, strong structure given to you, and you have some flexibility, some ideas which you can add to it. Some of the others might be very lightly defined. They might be giving you a kind of a basic skeleton, and then you can decorate and work with it. Now, the Disciplined Agile is coming up with an approach that, be it light framework or a heavy framework, it's still a framework which gives you a good starting point, but also limits you from doing something which might be appropriate for you. Because you may have multiple teams, multiple business organizations, and each team, each organization may have different context. And putting them into one structure, a common structure, may not be a wise idea. Their context may be different. Now, somebody will say, what is context? So, in a generic way, we can understand some of your development might be happening in a project mode. Some of your development might be happening in a product mode. Some of the development might be involving multiple vendor teams. Some of the development might be happening through geographically distributed team. Now, since there is a variation, they may require different ways of working, and the team should be able to evolve their way of working on their own. So, what is Disciplined Agile and how they help us in finding out our ways of working? So, in a way, we can say that Disciplined Agile is giving us the building blocks. There are some large building blocks which helps us in creating the bigger structure, and there are some small building blocks which help us in getting things done on a regular basis. So one of the overall building block is a life cycle. You have to choose a life cycle. Rather than giving you one option, they have multiple life cycle options. So for example, if you are thinking of new product, it's a very vague idea. You want to run a lean startup cycle. That particular initiative may run under exploratory life cycle. You may have another product which might have been in a continuous delivery mode because it is running from last 6 months. It can have a continuous delivery life cycle. You may have some initiative which is well defined now. You understand the customer persona and the business problem you are trying to solve. The requirements are still emerging. You may work on a delivery life cycle for that particular thing. So the Disciplined Agile gives you multiple choices of life cycle. And I feel this life cycle is like an outer layer which you can choose, and you can change also as you progress from one type of problem to another type of problem in the same product domain. Now, once this life cycle thing is settled down, usually we know framework from like roles, ceremonies, and artifact. And somebody may wonder, okay, what happens to these three when I'm using Disciplined Agile? So when it comes to role, they give you primary roles and lot of secondary roles or add-on roles. So the primary roles are something which needs to be there as you get started. A small team, big team, all teams are expected to have those DA primary roles. But as your context emerges, sometimes you need a domain expert, sometimes you need a program manager, sometimes you need a special architecture domain expert. So additionally, as your context evolve, you can add these supporting roles. So that's the flexibility, and that's how they put it in a toolkit mode. So finally, talking about events and artifacts. So in DA case, the events and artifacts are also choosable. So what they do is they talk about goal-oriented approach. They have a process goals, and in order to achieve a process goal, you can do various things. For example, you have a process goal of coordinating activities among the development team among the team members. Now you can achieve this process goal by way of doing, say, daily Scrum kind of a thing, daily inspect and adapt meeting. You can also achieve this process goal of coordination work among different team members by way of having some electronic chat channel and some tools which helps you to collaborate. So the idea here is not to do a 15 minutes meeting or not to use a particular chat tool, but to have a common understanding related to your work and your activities. So you have a goal, and these process goals are defined in the DA toolkit, and each process goal has multiple decision points, and there are various options and various considerations are documented in Disciplined Agile, which helps us as a team member, as a coach, to find out which way of coordinating will be suitable for me, because the context varies. One team could be geographically distributed, another team could be co-located. So we need to have different ways of working for those two. So the artifacts and events are also, I think, selectable. That would be a good word to say. You can decide based on your context. So you have a life cycle which gives you the upper framework, you have a roles which are primary and secondary, and you have a goal-oriented approach will let you identify what kind of events, what kind of artifacts might be useful for you in order to do your development job. If you want to know more about Disciplined Agile, you can visit PMI website. I will share the link in the description area of this particular video. I think if you're working in an Agile coaching, Agile consulting space, especially in a diverse background space, I think you may get a lot of value by studying Disciplined Agile.